Good morning, committee. I think it's a little after 9 o'clock, and we are live and online, so I do believe it's time to get started. As always, it's nice to see everybody's shining faces, at least above your mask. Can't see much below the mask. The first item, I will go ahead and call the meeting to order, and the first item of business this morning is approval of the February 3rd minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Representative Helmer, who seconded? Representative Amix seconded. Gary? All of those in agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Same. Okay, they are passed unanimously. Gary? Got it? All right, committee, the first item of business today, or the second item, I guess technically, would be a hearing on House Bill 2175, and that would be creating the Dwayne Peasley Technical Training Center District, and that is in Douglas County. We have several proponents, pardon me. The first proponent that we have listed is better go to Mike. That's right. Thank you, Gary. Mr. Heim, are you available this morning?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am.
Thank you. Good to see you, Mike. Would you give us a brief explainer on that bill?
Sure. This, as you said, bill creates a new special district in Douglas County, the Dwayne Peasley Technical Training Center District Act. It provides that the Board of County Commissioners of Douglas County shall submit the question of establishing this special district at an election, and if the voters approve, then they will basically abolish the existing Board of Directors for this Dwayne Peasley Technical Center and establish a new board. Once appointed, the district board then shall select board officers and the method of selection and the term of officers following the initial appointment of the board. All contracts that exist for the current technical training center would become obligations of the new special district. It provides there's a list of powers that are in Section 6. They have to make, among other things, the list of powers are typical of a special district type government. And they have to make an annual report to Douglas County on or before the 31st of January each year. They have to publish an annual budget that's in accordance with the Kansas budget law, and they're authorized to levy a tax of not to exceed 0.50 mils for the operation of this district. So I'll be glad to answer questions. You have folks there that will give you the history of this technical training center and why they want to go to a special district format. So anyway, if anybody has questions, I'll try and answer.
Committee, any questions of the reviser? Representative Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike, do you happen to know how many other taxing districts there are in Douglas County?
I could find out. There's plenty. I know that. The typical, you got city, county, school districts. There's a host of other local governments, and if you give me a minute, I can pull up something and tell you, but I would guess somewhere between maybe 30 and 50. But anyway, I'll get that answer for you here in a minute.
Thank you.
Committee, any other questions? Okay, Mike, let us know when you have that information, and we'll let you back in. We'll go ahead and start proponent testimony. Thank you for the explanation. All right. The first proponent we have listed would be Representative Mike Amix, District 45. Mike, welcome to committee. You just lost your seat. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks, colleagues, for allowing me to be here today. One of the things that we have is, as usual, the reviser did a great job, and if there was any word that I had written down that I was going to give you today, the reviser has already given it to you. So I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to just tell you about Dwayne Peasley for a second. I think that that's one of the most important parts of this story. Dwayne Peasley actually was one of the heads of the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Association in Douglas County. You know, I remember as an local elected official, Dwayne came to me as somebody that I really trusted and I took a lot of advice from as I was coming up. One of the things that he said, to have a well-rounded workforce, one of the things that was extremely important was to be able to remember one thing: not everybody's going to go to college. And I think that that was one of the things that was important. And I was looking in the mirror saying, you know, Mike, you're one of those people. You did not go to college. You went to a tech school. I'm a barber. I own barbershops in Lawrence, Kansas, something I'm very proud of. So that made me realize that as we looked at establishing the board, the thing that happened is that and putting together the school, that was where I was really at. I wanted to make sure that young people, as they came through the process of wanting to decide what they were going to be as they get older and how that they're going to be able to take care of themselves and families, is that give them the opportunity to be certified in a number of various programs that we have, and that's what Peasley Tech does. It gives us that opportunity to be able to do any number of things for young folks, where they can be certified, whether it be in HVAC or it can be auto mechanics, whatever it is. But the commitment that our county and our cities have made in Douglas County has been something that's been pretty exceptional. So I know Kevin Kelly's here today, who's director of the facility. He's going to be able to answer all the questions that you really need to know. But, you know, one of the things that I ask is that this is an opportunity for a district to be established by the voters of Douglas County. And it's got to be taken to a vote, and the vote has got to be positive before anything that the reviser had mentioned can happen. So there'll be a lot of work to do, and you know, it'll be in the hands of the voters when the Douglas County Commission decides they're ready to take it to them. So anyway, I stand for questions.
Committee, any questions? Representative Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is this program, is it like one of them programs where high school students can concurrently take classes in vocational subjects?
You know, I'm going to let Mr. Kelly answer that, if that's okay. I mean, there's all kinds of programs that happen. We have people that are in this program that we contract with companies in Lawrence and Douglas County for additional training for people that are already employed by places. So he'll be able to explain, you know, what we're doing with the high schools in Lawrence.
All right. Thank you
Douglas
very much.
County.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Lee Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations to our colleague. This is very cool. We need more technical schools for our young people to be able to give them options. My question on your letter, one of the last lines says that it's funded through the operations and maintenance. Excuse me, it says that along with tuition and investments by individuals and businesses, that's going to fund the operations and maintenance. How long will that funding last? Will this ever be something that is subsidized through the state, that the state will pay part of that, or will that just be self-funded?
Representative, thank you for your comments earlier. In answer to your question, this is a vote of Douglas County and Douglas County alone. You know, those are the boundaries. I don't see ever a time when the state's going to be picking this up. This is simply a local tax, local Douglas County tax.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Representative Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think actually you answered the question, Mike. This just kind of clears the way for those in Douglas County to have a vote on this. This is just one of the initial steps that then allows them to move forward and make the case then locally. Is that?
Representative, you're absolutely right. All this does is give the, as the revisor said earlier, it gives Douglas County Commission the authority to ask the voters for their approval of this question. Right now, we don't have statutory authority to do it.
Committee, any further questions? So Representative Amix, I assume when this idea came to fruition, you did a little research and found out you had to have statutory authority, and that's the purpose of bringing the bill to the legislature, because at some point we have to sign off on that, correct, to take it to a vote?
Chairman, you're absolutely right. There was no other way around it. I think all the legal folks, said, Representative Amix, you're going to get your first test. And so here we are. And yeah, we needed the authority to be able to ask.
Okay, very good. Committee, any further questions? Representative Amix, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, and colleagues, thank you very much.
Okay, committee, the second proponent we have listed today is Kevin Kelly, who's the CEO of the Peasley Technical Training Center. Mr. Kelly, welcome to the House Government Committee.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak briefly about Peasley Tech and the purpose of this legislative request. I usually have several hundred junior high and high school students that come through for visits every year. And at some point, I always tell them, when people come home at night, they want three things to happen. They want the lights to come on, they want the temperature to be good, and they want that toilet to flush. So if you know how to do any of those three things, you've got a career for life. And the purpose of this legislation is I still believe we'll need people doing those three things in 2070. And this provides the opportunity for long-term stability for the school and to keep producing those plumbers and carpenters and HVAC folks and mechanics for Douglas County. And I do want to emphasize, we serve in Douglas County businesses and individuals from Douglas County. So I brought a letter that I've submitted, but there's also about a dozen letters of support from other local organizations in Douglas County. We provide training to almost every manufacturing organization in Douglas County. We're now in our fourth year as a Kansas Board of Regents approved not-for-profit post-secondary school, and during that time we've added a lot of programs, and we've focused on skilled trades, so that we are actually the largest provider of apprenticeship programs in Kansas. And a lot more folks need apprenticeships than they need diplomas in this country. We need diplomas, but we need a lot of people with certificates showing they know how to do something. I'd be glad to answer any questions. The whole purpose of this is for the long-term sustainability of the school and to see if the voters want it long-term.
Mr. Kelly, thank you. Committee, any questions? Representative Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Like I said, I was going back to what I was asking Representative Amix. Like back down in my area, there is a technical training program that, well, they do some of the things you're doing, I think, and then they have some high school students come in, like concurrently enrolled, take some part of their school day there. Do you do anything like that?
We have about 80 high school students during the day taking welding, auto tech, and building trades. And we do that through a partnership with the districts in Douglas County. We provide the facility for that training, and then they receive their concurrent college credit through Johnson County Community College.
Oh, that's good. And I just, back to what you were saying about people coming home wanting heat, wanting electricity and wanting their toilet to flush. I'm a little bit of a do-it-yourselfer myself. And so I'm pretty good with the electric, but my house isn't always the right temperature and the toilet doesn't always flush, so.
You give us a call, we might send you a student over to do a little project there.
Well, it's a little bit of a drive to southeast Kansas, but thank you for what you do. It's really great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Lee Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your testimony. This just thrills my heart so much. I would hate to use the word grilled the Department of Agriculture in my office last week, but we had a spirited conversation about how important these programs are all across the state. And so a couple questions for you. I'd love to see a list of some of the programs that you offer. And just so I'm understanding, this has already been going on since 2015. You're just asking residents to continue this program. Will you take students from across the state, or is this just specific to Douglas County?
We do get students from outside of Douglas County now, but we don't recruit students from outside of Douglas County. And we don't recruit businesses from outside because our funding is from Douglas County and the city of Lawrence. But we do have organizations like the Topeka Apartment Association. We have a apprenticeship that we run with their employees to train them to be facilities maintenance people. So we do, where a need's not being filled, but our focus really is on Douglas County because throughout the rest of the state, we have a good system of community colleges that are providing and that we partner with at our school, so that for the most part, folks would be able to get these technical trade filled through the community colleges in their area.
Sure, but if somebody wanted to, they could pay the tuition and come. And so one of the things that I might add as a consideration to you is meat cutting, because do you all have that program yet at all? It's something that is becoming, we have these small meat packing companies all across Kansas that are, most of them are backed up for, I don't know if any of you have had I see Doug shaking his head. A lot of them are backed up for a year and 2 years, and so it's really becoming a need, and we need places like this to be able to serve those needs and get some of this training. So anyway, thank you very much for what you do. This is really just phenomenal.
Thank you. And we do a process on new programs. We do a local research and find if there's demand and find that there's employers that are willing to hire people, because there's two things that we don't do. We don't train people for a job that they can't make a livable wage in, and we don't train them in jobs where they can't get a job. But I appreciate it. And like I said, Kansas is lucky it has a good community college system.
One last thing, if I might. Send some of those folks out to Western Kansas. We'll take all the plumbers and electrical folks you can send.
We do have a guy that goes out to Western and Southwest Kansas to help prepare electricians for licensure. Yeah, it's a shortage.
Representative Owsley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here. I didn't want to assume, but if Peasley was a member of the, pipe fitters local, and you guys are Johnson County, what'd you say your relationship with Johnson County Community College was?
They provide college credit for high school students that are concurrently enrolled in programs with the high school, and they provide credit through there. The Plumbers and Pipe Fitters 441 in Kansas is their business director is on our board and has been from the inception of the school. Okay. And so they they actually provide some support for some of our programs in terms of doing assessments for welders, and we actually provide some assessments for them.
And that was going to be my question that I didn't want to assume was what's your relationship with the local unions, because I know all apprenticeships programs are not created the same, but it sounds like you guys are.
Yeah, and our programs are set up like with IBEW. If they come through us for a year, they'll go in as a second-year apprentice into IBEW, getting a year's credit towards their apprenticeship by having been through our programs.
And that's certainly helping with their income and their longevity in that field. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Helmer.
This is so exciting. Congratulations. And I want to say that I taught at Meridian Alternative High School in Wichita as a counselor, but there were only about 6 of us there, and we graduated 64, and we had a program much like yours, and then Wichita tore it down. So I'm really excited to hear about what you're doing. There is such a need and everything. I stand behind what everybody's saying. And I'm rural agriculture, but have you had any difficulty? You haven't put the 0.5 mil property tax fund into Peasley Tech yet, but they're cooperative with all of that, with working with you with the junior college, and you're not going to have any problems with that. So you've already made that connection and everything's set up, and the unified district is a go with working together with everything?
Yeah, and actually, we house several of the unified district programs at Peasley Tech. In addition to having the high school students coming doing welding, building trades, and automotive, we house the GED program and the English as a second language program through our partnership. Our campus, we have several USD 497. We have a 497 facility on our campus, actually. So we have a good relationship and partnership with the school district. We also have folks from our rural school districts that we provide training for their students as well.
How many days off did you take for the pandemic?
That's kind of that's something we're kind of proud of, because we found out on St. Patrick's Day that we had to close. We had a protocol already written up and in place, so we sent it to the Board of Regents and we sent it to the Health Department in Douglas County. We opened back up May 4th, and we've never been closed since.
Way to go. Congratulations.
We've been open since May 4th. We had to spread people out and do some things a little different, but I mean, I got truck drivers training out there right now. You know, we don't take them out on the road on days like this, but we have students training as we speak right now.
That's wonderful for the children and the students. Thank you very much. Way to go.
Representative Sanders?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for your presentation. What's your enrollment trends? What's your typical tuition? And how long does it take somebody to typically get through your program and in working in a trade?
I'll give you several different questions. Yes, so I'm going to give you several different answers. In terms of head count of students, it's around 600. And enrollments before the pandemic were about 1,800 enrollments. That includes enrollments we do out at companies. Like we may go to ICL, the food service, and train 115 people in a program for a few days. The average cost of a program is about $2,500. The length varies greatly. We have some programs like a pharmacy technician may only be there 4 weeks. They come all day, every day for 4 weeks, but then they're ready to go work as pharmacy techs. We train mechatronics technicians, which are robotics technicians. They're with us for 3 years. So it's a pretty wide range, but on average, about $2,500 and about 6 months. One other thing I would tell you, we don't, no student leaves us with debt. If they come to us, we find a way to get them through school and out without debt.
So like, for example, the pharmacy program, how much would that cost?
$1,850.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? You have one? Representative Lee Hahn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You may or may not have the answer to this question. I don't know how we duplicate this across the state. I mean, it just sounds like it's a tremendous, I'm trying to find the negative here, and it's amazing that Lawrence is setting the tone, being the Wildcat fan that I am, but I don't, this is really great. I don't know how we duplicate these programs, especially to not have debt. I mean, that is really tremendous to,
Well, and we, we get a lot of local support. Our city and county have helped us financially. If you go down the halls, we have little signs up of all the organizations that help us, and they're from Masons to whoever, that help fund students to go to school. And then also some of them go, the way that a lot of us did. They pay their way as they're going. And when they're done, they've paid off their class and they're moving into a job. A lot of them, most of these programs, we put them in a job while they're in the class, so that they're actually doing, like if you come to our electrician program, we don't want to just teach you in the school, so we get you connected with a contractor and you go to work for them as an electrician helper while you're in school.
there have been a lot of hard days as a new legislator in Topeka. This is a good day. This is a good day. Thank you for everything.
Committee, any further questions? All right, Mr. Kelly, thank you so much for being here. Very informative, and best of luck going forward.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. The next proponent we have listed, and I think that is via WebEx, Victoria, is Hugh Carter, who's the Vice President, External Affairs, the Chamber of Lawrence. Is he available?
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Good morning, Chairman Thompson and members of the committee. Again, I'm Hugh Carter. I'm the Vice President of External Affairs with the Lawrence Chamber of Commerce. I concur with everything that's been said here this morning, so I won't repeat myself. A lot of my testimony that I've just submitted has been covered here. So I think one angle that might be good for the group to hear is that Peaslee enjoys great support from both our county and the city. And so, they give an annual $550,000 to support Peaslee Tech. And you might wonder, why do we need this district then? What's the specific issue related to that? And one of those is, I was actually charged in 2014 to be the point person by the Economic Development Corporation, Douglas County, and the Chamber to be the point person and work with 5 community colleges to apply for a $10 million Department of Labor grant, federal Department of Labor, to start Peaslee Tech. The grant, it was a TACT grant, and we had, like I said, 5 community colleges involved. We didn't get that grant, but through our work, we had already decided one way or another we were going to make this happen. And so it's a model that others can do, per the representative's comments a minute ago, and we certainly be happy to talk other communities through how we did this. But one of the challenges with it was we came up and with more of a shoestring budget when we didn't get that $10 million TACT grant. But we had to have the owners carry the mortgage for us when we bought the building, because we were not able to get conventional financing through these funding sources. And when you have to go to the city and the county each year and ask the commission for your funds, that's not a funding mechanism that works for banks. They need to see that clarity. So they carried the note, and we've known for a while that we needed to find a better way to fund ourselves in order to be a little more autonomous, for Peaslee to carry its own mortgage, etc. So a year or so after when the balloon payment was due to the owners that were carrying the financing, we still didn't have a different funding mechanism. We got an extension, and we ended up with a total of 12 local banks that used Community Reinvestment Act funds. So they each participated in the loan to take a little chunk of it. So we have one loan, but 12 banks are participating in it, and they have taken the Peaslee mortgage now. However, it's not the ideal scenario. If this is set up, Peaslee would be able to get then, if the Lawrence Douglas County voters approve this, then Peaslee would be able to have more of a conventional mortgage. probably more easily tap into their equity if and when we need to expand or renovate spaces for new programming. One other element, when we built this building, we also donated about $350,000 worth of land to the local school district to encourage them to locate their new college and career center right there. So we would have a campus. So they're right next to our building. And we have adults and high school children actually in both buildings, which is a really unique model looking around the country. So we've got, private school district, public funds, et cetera, contributing. But this is kind of the last piece, I think, to really conclude at least the business I was trying to take care of when we initially set Peaslee up. And so we definitely support House Bill 2175 and ask you to do the same. And thank you very much for your consideration. Thank you.
Any questions of Mr. Carter? Representative Curtis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Carter, for being here. I can certainly understand the challenges of having to go to the local government every year to plead your case and what that must do just for the sustainability and being able to, plan and even recruit students, because you don't know from year to year if you're even going to have that funding in place. So I can see where this is important for long-term sustainability. And just real impressed about how the community has already come together and supported this concept. And it seems like it's even continuing to evolve and into more partnerships. So just wanted to applaud your community for your efforts here. So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Carter, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
All right, committee, that would be the end of our proponents. I will note there was no neutral testimony nor no opponent testimony. Could we check back with Mr. Heim to see if he got the answer? Who had the original question, Mr. Sanders or Representative Sanders? Mike, did you have a chance to look that up?
Yes, there's 43 taxing districts in Douglas County. There's 4 cities, 8 cemetery districts, 4 drainage districts, 5 fire districts, 2 library districts, 9 townships, 8 school districts, 1 recreation commission, and 2 watershed districts. Total of 43 in 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. I'm impressed. That was a pretty good guess off the top of your head earlier when you said, I think 30 or 40. I thought you were high, so very good. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. All right, committee, any further comment then before we, yes, Representative Amix.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate everybody's time today. This is an exciting time for Lawrence and Douglas County. I'm a pretty proud representative of my community, my county, and the work that they've done in this. I think it's something that's pretty exciting and something that we're able to help a lot of kids and a lot of people in our community by Peaslee Tech. So I appreciate everybody's comments and questions. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, anything else, committee? All right, if not, we will wrap up the hearing on HB 2175. Excellent hearing, I might add. Very good legislation, or Representative Amix. Okay, committee. Moving on, I would like to consider HB 2178 or work HB 2178. As a reminder, that was the vacating of certain blocks in the original town plat, set aside for a college and a park in the city of Americus, and vesting fee simple title in the city. Is there any discussion in regards to that bill? That's about as simple as you could ever have, in my opinion. And by the way, it did pass. We did have it for our freshman members. We did have that bill last year in committee. I'm 99% sure it passed unanimously out of committee, and it passed, I think, 124-1 on the House floor. Did not get moved on the Senate side. So with all that said, as a little history, do I have a motion? Representative Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we move HB 2178 out of committee favorable for passage.
I have a second. Representative Wheeler, seconds. Last chance. Any further discussion on that before we move? Okay, everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Gary, would you note that it did pass out unanimously again? All right, committee, if nothing else for the good of the committee, anyone? We are adjourned. Thank you.